Take a legal deep dive into some of the top legal stories we are covering right now. First, to a school district in financial turmoil. The state official now running the Isaac School District in Phoenix has released a report outlining the financial mismanagement that led to its troubles. Meanwhile, a spokesman from the Attorney General's office says that Attorney General Chris Mays has confirmed to 12 News there is an ongoing investigation into this matter. That really ramps things up a bit. Joining me now to discuss is criminal defense attorney Hector Diaz. All right, we're used to school districts struggling because of funding problems. It's well reported that there are chronic issues statewide, but you also see instances where there is alleged mismanagement, which appears to be what's happened here. This state receiver found that the district lacked processes and procedures to properly vet and carry out expenses in the right way. So now that the Attorney General's involved, could we see criminal charges coming from this?
I'm going to give you the lawyerly response. It depends. It depends. So, going back, too much money at stake here that was mismanaged for there not to be some kind of investigation, whether it's criminal, whether it could be civil, too soon. But, I know that the Attorney General has indicated there is an investigation, and it can. Once the Attorney General's office touches it, an investigator is going to be assigned, and they're going to look to see, was there any kind of fraud involved? Was there an effort to, for some individual to pad their pockets?
Right.
Or was this really something akin to, say, a poor management, poor accounting, application of, the wrong accounting principles or something like that? And I think that's what ultimately is going to be the determiner, right? The other facet is I have to believe that the Attorney General is probably going to want to do interviews with certain individuals. And it's going to be interesting to see who they select. Do these individuals submit to an interview? Do they hire their own lawyers? And that's usually the indicator that, okay, there may be something more here.
AG usually doesn't get involved unless there is smoke, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that, the Isaac School District. Also now, we turn to a national story. The trial, of course, is underway for Sean Diddy Combs. He faces numerous charges ranging from racketeering, fraud, sex trafficking. What's the latest regarding the case?
I mean, too bad there's no cameras in this courtroom. It's in federal district court in New York, but I mean, what's coming out of there is just sensational. The government started their case with a witness. This is Diddy's ex-girlfriend, who has basically testified to just horrible abuse that she suffered at the hands of Mr. Combs. And it's interesting. I think when you look at a case like this, typically you see those kinds of powerful government witnesses coming towards the end of their case, the end of the government's case. And this one really came out of the gate, set the tone, and now they're in cross-examination, and Diddy's lawyers are they're making their effort to try to establish, wait a minute, this wasn't really abuse, this was consensual behavior. You, in fact, enjoyed a lot of what was going on here. And they're putting, text messages. They're looking at the relationship over the years, trying to establish that it was consensual, that really there wasn't an effort here to engage in any kind of forced acts or any kind of abuse.
And of course, it does get nuanced, because when you talk about the cycle of violence,
right,
if this is someone who is being manipulated or coerced or abused, they will show that behavior. The praise and a lot of the positivity in the text messages. And so the jury will have to distinguish between those.
And that's not lost on the government. I mean, that's a great point. They're going to call towards the end of the case an expert, a domestic violence expert, who will testify and say, you heard some really unusual facts here. You heard that, that this person, that was the subject of abuse, actually, wanted to spend time with her abuser. Here's why. And they'll explain, as you indicated, the cycle of violence. So one to watch for sure in terms of this case.
Yeah, and then it gets a little complicated because she's almost about to have a child.
And that issue came up.
Yeah.
It came up because I think, the government believes that the defense is dragging the cross-examination. I mean, there have been hours and hours and hours. And I think today the government kind of indicated to the court, we think that there's some strategy and some gamesmanship. She's 8.5 months pregnant. Are they trying to just simply drag this out to get a mistrial because she's going to go into labor? So.
Okay. I mean, something else to watch for.
Week one. This is week one. Many more weeks to go.
Wow. Okay. Hector Diaz, as always, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, still ahead on 12 News at